Welcome! This is all my gear for my Skyrim thing camping. I'm gonna go over it with you guys. If you're new to my channel, this is what I do. I get dressed up like video game, movie, TV characters, and I go out on camping and hiking trips. Yeah, so I'm gonna go over each piece with you guys and show you what they all do, show you how they work out in the wilds and what I use them for. Okay, so first, I wanna go over the outfit, right? So everything on here was inspired by an item in Skyrim as best as I could. Tried to replicate it from the game. So the top is a guard cuirass. You can think Stormcloak, Whiterun guard, any of the guard cuirasses. The cloak is not a specific color to any of the specific ones. I kind of just picked it because I liked it. I have a blue one, so I can do a Stormcloak cuirass as well, but I kind of decided to get away from the Stormcloak portion of it and just kind of do my own thing with it rather than be a Stormcloak. I don't ever actually side with the Stormcloaks. I just think it looks cool. My boots, what I've gone on are recreations of Imperial light boots. So these boots, I actually made 100%, handmade these. I made all of the leather stuff on me. I made the bracers, the belt bag, the belts, boots, the bag back here, and the sword frog. Quick shameless plug. If you like my leather gear, you think it looks nice, you want some leather gear for yourself, in the description, you can click my Etsy shop link. I've got some leather goods there. I always buy my leather in bulk, and I have extra after I'm done with my costumes. So I just make wallets and bags and stuff. You want to be able to get yourself a little belt bag like this, you can go over there and check it out. It helps my channel, helps me put money back into my costumes and going on these hikes. So thanks, appreciate it. So anyway, yeah, the boots, they're not doing so hot. The first hike I went on, they did really well. They felt really good. On my last hike, they kind of just were not enough support for me. I was a lot heavier than on my first hike. I took a lot more gear, and they've gotten a little jacked up. The leather, you can see my heels coming out right here because it's not fitted for my feet properly. They were my first attempt. I'm probably gonna make another attempt and see if I can make a better pair. So on my arms, leather bracers. They're literally just called leather bracers in Skyrim. They have fur right here in Skyrim, but I didn't really want to mess with doing that. They're pretty nice to just put on and off without having any extra stuff on them. With the cuirass, I have this mesh chainmail. It's just made of polyester mesh that's been spray painted with some metallic looking paint. I'd like to try to get to some real chainmail or get some plastic rings. The Lord of the Rings, that's what they did for all of their chainmail. They used plastic rings, and it looks fantastic. I would love to be able to do that too, but I got to figure out how to go about that. So there's a couple pieces of clothing that kind of fill in the gaps between the Skyrim stuff. I've got some hand wraps on. These are mostly to kind of prevent chafing between the bracers and my arms, but they also keep my hands nice and warm. I've got this linen tunic on, just kind of a traditional Viking, Scandinavian style. There are a lot of tutorials online on how to make those, and I just kind of followed one of those. The pants, they're just cheap, 100% polyester Ren Fair pants. There's nothing special about them. Most of this is handmade. This linen tunic, handmade. The gambeson, handmade. Scarf was handmade. The pants are the only thing on here that are not 100% handmade, other than my under layer, which is just it's like a wool blend base layer. This right here is just a faux fur blanket. It doesn't really serve much of a purpose other than aesthetic. It doesn't really add a whole lot of warmth. I just put it down in my bedroll so that it looks like fur. You know, I think for me and for a lot of people, when you think Skyrim, you think fur. It's got a very Viking aesthetic and stuff like that, so it's just nice looking. Just a wool blanket, gray wool blanket. It's been cut a little bit, so it's a little bit shorter, a little bit narrower. I used it for my hand wraps and some foot wraps. It's also got a cut in the center so that I can wear it like a poncho. The wool blanket, just the olive green wool blanket. These both are, I think, about 80% wool. The more wool, the better, I think. It's a little warmer and it's fire resistant, so sleeping next to the campfire is a lot safer with wool. You don't want to do it with polyester or anything synthetic. I'm not going to open these up They're just blankets, nothing really special about them. But I will open this up. This is my bedroll. Alright, so it is just a canvas cloth. I got this cloth from Joann's. It was treated already with some water resistant material with the DWR. So it's water resistant. I tested it and then the water beads right off and it looks great. I added some straps that I can use to tie myself down when I'm in it. I also sewed up the foot box. That way I can't kick out of it, kind of like a little burrito. Some people will just do a tarp and they'll just wrap the tarp around themselves. And I think that would work too. I just thought this would be a little bit cozier. Okay, spoiler alert. I do have a traditional sleeping pad inside of this. Now, I would love to get away from using anything that's traditional backpacking gear or anything like that. But on the last trip I went, it got down to like 20 degrees overnight. And as much as it is fun to be in theme and LARPing, I also want to be safe. I don't want to die overnight from exposure. This is my pillow right here. It's just a canvas drop cloth. I cut, hand stitched it. It's really nothing special, but inside of it, its filling is what's special. So, inside of this pillow is a quilt. If you're not familiar with backpacking gear, a quilt is basically a sleeping bag with the back cut open. It's supposed to save weight and all that. This is down-filled. So I have this in there, one, because it fluffs my pillow up and it makes my pillow very comfortable. But the other reason I have it in there is for emergencies, in case it gets too cold on me out there. Again, the LARPing gear is really fun. I would love to be sleeping 100% in LARP style, but I want to be safe. The old school wool blankets and stuff, if they're not going to be enough to keep me warm, this definitely will. And with all of it together, it's great. And this doesn't weigh much of anything. I think it weighs like 1.5 pounds at most. And like you saw, it goes right into my pillow, stuffs right in there. You can watch me stuff it back in. Takes up very little space, very packable. So that's my bedding situation. Typically what I would do is I will put on the gray blanket as a poncho. I will wrap the green blanket around myself, and then I get into the bedroll with this fur just underneath me. On the last trip, I did have to use the quilt because it got down to 20-ish degrees and it was very cold. I'd love to get to the point where I can start doing it without the quilt and just using the wool blankets. I plan to do that in the warmer months for sure, but during these colder months, I might just have to use some of those better gear to survive it. Historically, people didn't travel during the winter anyway. That's kind of a Hollywood fallacy. The Fellowship would have never climbed that mountain with all that snow on it. That would have been a death sentence. And yeah, I mean, it's not smart to try to recreate that kind of stuff without the proper gear in real life. All right, so here's some of my like cookware and just miscellaneous gear. This is my potion bottle. It's literally just a glass bottle. Wrap some jute around it, put a cork on it, leather glued around it. Here's my kuksa, traditional Viking, Scandinavian, I believe. It's made of wood. Usually how they'll make these is they'll find a birch burl, and a burl is a big circular knot on a tree, big lump kind of, and they'll cut it off and they'll carve into it in the circular shape of it. And it's a great way to make bowls and cups and stuff like that because it's already that shape. So it's really easy to carve into a bowl or a cup. As far as I know, this one was not carved that way. I did just get this store-bought. I believe this one is from Amazon. Typically don't like to buy from Amazon, but sometimes it's just easier. Sometimes I can't find. I try and thrift shop. I try and get stuff from secondhand stores, but sometimes I just can't find a kuksa. I did have another kuksa that I did buy from a Ren fair, and it was really nice. I took it on my first Skyrim trip, but at some point on my Skyrim trip, it fell off my backpack. It wasn't super well secured, I guess. So somewhere at about 12,000 feet of elevation in the Holy Cross Wilderness, someone found a kuksa. So if you're watching this, it's mine. Give it back. This is my water skin. So inside of my water skin is actually a vinyl bag. There's a brand that makes little Boda bags like this, and they typically have suede and nylon on the outside of them. I found one at a thrift store and repurposed it. I added leather on the outside. I added the jute wrap, the cork, the jute around the center right here. But if I pull this out, you can see that it's just a vinyl bag in there. Cast iron pot, nothing too special about it. It's just a cast iron pot. I do really like cooking in cast iron though, or something that feels very rustic about it. It's one of my favorite ways to cook. Here's some more just canvas cloth. This one's a food bag. It's where I store my food, potatoes, carrots, stuff like that. This one is a wrap. Sometimes I'll store or wrap stuff like cheese in it. Things that are kind of gross, I don't want to get all over other things. Here's some more little bags. I was using these for oatmeal. Oatmeal is great for thickening stews, and salt and pepper seasoning. This is my fire making kit. Inside it, I've got my flint and my steel. I'm still learning how to use this. I'm not really great at it, but I'm getting better. I'll typically have some kind of jute or something inside of here too to burn with. It's a little bit left over right there. Or some char cloth. I don't have any right now. I'll have to make more, but I also have some matches in there just in case. If for whatever reason I'm just struggling to get a fire going with the flint and steel, I just like to have a backup way of starting a fire. Okay, here's the backpack. So this is just a cheap Temu backpack, honestly. I bought it like a year ago, and I bought it really cheap. I needed something, I wanted to start somewhere, and this is what I got. I've done some modifications on it, my leatherworking. I added some longer straps to the top. I added some straps on the bottom for my bedroll to be down there. I've kind of changed the way that some of these straps are attached. I always have a bell on it. I'm typically in bear country when I'm doing these hikes, so it's nice to have a bell on so that bears can hear me coming and please stay out of the way. So that pretty much covers all of the LARPing in theme type items. Inside are some more of my modern gear. Got a phone charger, a water filter. I don't plan on just drinking out of streams out there. It's a really good way to get sick. It's just a little light. I like its color. It's kind of an orangey color, so it kind of simulates the glow of a campfire. GPS communicator. A lot of people use Garmin. This is a Spot. I think it works just as well. First aid kit. Nothing special, just some Band-Aids, antiseptic wipes. I keep lotion in there sometimes too. Emergency blanket. I do have the quilt, and that's a great emergency blanket. This is a Mylar one, and it's just an extra little thing. So yeah guys, that pretty much covers everything in the Skyrim kit. So if you enjoyed this, if you really liked the way this looked and you want to see it in action, definitely go over to my channel and check out some of my videos. I would love it if you subscribe too. I'm pretty small right now. I'm trying to get some more subscribers going. These trips are a lot of fun, but they're also not cheap, so it'd be nice to be able to get some monetization back to be able to keep on going on them. Give the video a like too if you enjoyed it. Helps the video. If you want to see the Red Dead Redemption stuff, if you want to see The Last of Us, I've got plans for some Lord of the Rings style stuff, lots of other stuff. Subscribe so you can see those coming out in the future. So yeah, stay tuned, there's more to come.